I herald the beginning. I herald your end. I herald Galactus. Hello, everyone. Welcome to No Drama, Just Movies, and we are back this week with another movie review. Hit that subscribe button to stay tuned with all the content that we produce each and every week in the world of TV and movies. My name is Cameron. I hunger for babies, Kelly Smith, and I'm joined by my esteemed colleague here.
I'm Phil Flame on Corwin.
Oh, that's right. We love a traditional approach on this channel. Of course, we are here to review.
Almost.
Exactly. I mean, but of course, we are here to review none other than Fantastic Four First Steps. Let's go right into our thoughts. I'm going to start off by saying, let's, you know, lift the veil immediately. This is the best Fantastic Four movie ever made by a clear mile, by a very
That
far
wasn't hard to
stretch.
do, I think.
That wasn't hard to do, but thank goodness that we are finally here, that we finally got some may say a great Fantastic Four movie, some may say a good Fantastic Four movie. I think it's very hard to say that this movie is below good because I think it is, no pun intended, fantastic. Why is it fantastic? Well, there are many reasons. The number one reason for me, I'm going to say it right now, Galactus. He looks incredible. Incredible. This was peak Marvel VFX, peak Marvel SFX. Looks absolutely tremendous. When I saw Arisham the Judge in Eternals, I remember looking at the screen going, goodness gracious. I mean, what a view. And when we saw Galactus here for the first time, I literally, we just watched it for the second time. By my first viewing, I literally sat there and said, oh my God, he looks tremendous. He looks intimidating. He looks scary. That whole sequence when they enter Galactus's ship, everything from there to the intergalactic space chase with the Silver Surfer chasing the team, that whole sequence, I mean, just a taste of just how tremendous this movie is. However, I wish there was more set pieces, especially action set pieces. We'll get onto that. But how about you? Right off the bat, what's some of your thoughts on this movie?
I really, really, really enjoyed it. I think it was the kind of film for me that made me feel stuff. I think more sad stuff as well. I was just amazed by how tragic some of these figures were. Like you've got Galactus, whom you mentioned, who's not just a bad guy who wants to just eat worlds for the sake of it, but he's got this curse, hunger curse, basically, and he wants to stop. But there's Shalla-Bal as well, who's given herself to servitude to to save a planet, and now dooms other planets, which is just amazing as well for the emotion. And I love every line she delivers.
I herald the beginning. I herald your end. I herald Galactus. What the
Even after
line?
watching that in the trailer and the first time in the cinema, it still hits like the whole speech, but then that punch at the end. It's just, yeah, it's just, I really enjoyed it. It felt very like emotionally heavy in a good way.
No, I agree. Like, that whole sequence, when, the family meet for dinner, the Fantastic Four, and, they go out onto the balcony and, there's obviously a very important scene before that, or at least a mention where, Reed is addressing, his protocol that he's put into practice in terms of, keeping the streets safe. And, that was a good little, I think, idea of, an insight into Reed's character and what could be to come. Very similar to, for example, maybe what Tony Stark was trying to do with the Ultron initiative. But even so, you have that moment where they're talking on the balcony, and then they turn around to go back in, and they get the alert, and you just see that beautiful shot of the sky literally falling. It feels like with the arrival of Shalla-Bal, and that's one thing I want to go into in terms of the presentation visually, how this looked. I think it's visually one of Marvel's at points one of Marvel's best movies ever. Certainly one of their best visually in a while. Galactus is a reason for that. Silver Surfer is a reason for that. I think that the CG and the visual effects for all of the Fantastic Four's powers look great. And the presentation, like this 1960s aesthetic, I wish we saw more of it. I don't think there was enough 1960s retrofuturistic aesthetic. I think that, certain places look very normal, whereas certain places didn't. But I did enjoy the places that looked more different, because I think, one of the things we've craved in this multiversal saga, and in hindsight, maybe would have been a better idea, is to have more movies that took place out of the 616 universe, or and move more movies that had a different feel and visual style to them. And I feel like Max Shakman really brought that here, and definitely IMAX helped. I mean, IMAX helped a lot for this movie. I mean, obviously, one of the things I want to mention, obviously, we're going to talk about in our next video, which is going to be talking about the mid-credit scene and what we think this means for the future, especially with Secret Wars looming. But what was your thoughts in terms of the fact that this movie, a big part of it is obviously the fact that there's a new family member added to the team, that being Franklin Richards, baby Franklin Richards. What was your thoughts about that and how that affected the family dynamic?
I loved how it affected the story, I think, because that was, they kind of opened with that. And from that moment, it was just, straight. It was such a focused script, because that birth and that child like leads everything. That is the reason why Galactus is coming, technically. But yeah, and that's why all the conflict is happening. So I really enjoyed. I don't know too much about Franklin or anything about Franklin from the comics. I know that he's very OP.
Very overpowered, very.
But so that it wasn't for me that kind of, oh my god, it's Franklin Richards. But it just what he did for the story, I think, with Reed probably a little more willing to give him up, I suppose.
And what a scene, by the way. Like, I think one of the things about this movie is, Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby, I think that they steal the show. Like that scene, when, she does realize that Reed is thinking about, that he has thought about the idea of giving Franklin up, and him having to say, listen, I think of terrible things because I don't want terrible things to happen, and so I can hurt other people before they hurt us, and this is my job. And her flipping that back on him and saying it's not your job, it's just how you are, and that how you are sometimes hurts me. And I think it's just such a great moment and such a great scene that I think gives such great insight potentially into what those characters can mean and do in the years to come, especially Reed Richards. I loved obviously Franklin, especially the need for Galactus needing Franklin, to be able to take over. And I love that, he notices that from the beginning when he scans Sue's stomach, and he says, that your child is hiding his true nature from you. And I thought that was such an eerie and sinister line, because it does make you wonder what Franklin can become later on down the line, and what that will mean to the Fantastic Four itself. But any other final thoughts before we go to our Icee score?
I quickly want to shout out the chemistry just between main four as well, and I loved just how they spent the day together. Basically, I could have just watched them have dinner, Sunday night dinner or something. Just even the little things Joseph Quinn does with the robot, with Herbie, giving him those little head scratches or the fist bumps. It makes
shout out to Herbie.
Shout out to Herbie, exactly. It's it makes him feel like part of the family, right? It makes him feel almost human.
On that note, we will now go to our Icee score review. So how many Icees out of 10 are you giving to the Fantastic Four?
I would give it a 9. I would give definitely a 9 out of 10 Icees. I thought the script was really tight and really it moved ahead. Not quite sure about the beginning so much, the that abbreviated origin story. I don't know how else you could have done it, but yeah, I wasn't too much of a fan of that. But yeah, the rest of the script is amazing. 9 out of 10 Icees.
Well, I'm going with 8.5 Icees out of 10. I could have gone to a 9, but I went for 8.5 after the second viewing because I think it does take some dips at some points, and I could have did with a little bit more action and a bit more fleshed out story with some of the characters, specifically Johnny Storm and Ben Grimm. But it's a fantastic movie, and I look forward to see what comes next from this crew, especially in Avengers Doomsday. So that will do it for our review of Fantastic Four First Steps. We are No Drama, Just Movies. Please like, share, comment, drop down in that comment section below. Let us know your thoughts on this movie, what you thought and what you think this means for the future of Marvel and, of course, their first family. Once again, we are No Drama, Just Movies. My name is Cameron. I hunger for babies. Kelly Smith, and I'm joined by my esteemed colleague here.
I'm Phil Flame On Cohen.
Oh, that's right. Once again, we are No Drama, Just Movies. Thank you very much for checking out our review today, guys, and we will see you very, very soon. Take care, guys.